Before spiritual awakening, I had to convince myself that the world is not as real as it seems. After awakening, I have to pretend that it is, in order to live. In 1999, a movie changed how an entire generation thinks about reality. The Matrix told us we might be living inside a simulation, a computational dream, and the hero's journey was simple: wake up, unplug, escape into the real world, fight the machine, find the solid ground. Billions of people watched that film and felt something stir. Not just entertainment, recognition. Like the story was pointing at something true, but couldn't quite name it. Here is what the film got right. You are living inside a computational world. Reality, as you experience it, the weight of your body, the texture of wood under your fingers, the pain in your joints, the face of someone you love, all of it is being rendered, computed, generated by a mathematical process so sophisticated that no one inside it can tell it is not solid. Here is what the film got backwards. Everything else. In the movie, the heroes unplug from the simulation and wake up in the real world, a gritty, dark, physically real place called Zion. The message was comforting. Yes, you are in a simulation, but somewhere out there, beyond the code, there is solid ground, a real world waiting for you. Just find the exit. But what if there is no exit? What if Zion is just another layer of the same rendering? What if the physical world, the one you are sitting in right now, the one you have never once doubted, what if that is the Matrix? Not a simulation built by machines, not a prison you were plugged into against your will, but a divine computation, a sacred rendering, designed not to enslave you, but to give you the one thing an infinite consciousness cannot give itself: the experience of realness. Think about it. If you are the source, if you are infinite awareness that already knows everything, already is everything, what is the one thing you cannot experience? Limitation, surprise, the feeling that something is solid, heavy, real, and separate from you. You cannot experience being a body in a world unless you forget you are the one generating both the body and the world. So the rendering has to be perfect. The deception has to be total, not cruel deception, divine deception. The kind a master artist performs when the painting is so vivid you forget you are looking at canvas. The weight you feel right now in your body, that is the brushstroke. The solidity of the floor beneath you, that is the frame. The absolute conviction that you are a person sitting in a room on a planet in a universe, that is the masterpiece. And the Matrix, the real one? It is not something you escape from. It is something you wake up inside of. You do not unplug. You do not find the exit. You simply open your eyes and realize the prison and the playground were always the same place. Neo was looking for the door out. There is no door out. There is only the moment when you stop fighting the rendering and recognize it as God playing the most elaborate game of hide and seek ever conceived. The Wachowskis gave humanity a comfortable rebellion. Fight the machine. Find the real. The truth offers no such comfort. There is nothing to rebel against. The machine is the divine. The simulation is the sacred. And the realness you feel right now, the undeniable, heavy, aching realness of being alive in a body, that is not the lie. That is the whole point. And if you are still not convinced, consider what you do every single night of your life. You fall asleep and you dream. And inside that dream, you are completely convinced it is real. You walk through rooms that feel solid. You talk to people who feel present. You feel emotions, fear, joy, desire, grief, as intensely as anything in your waking life. You never stop in the middle of a dream and say, "Wait, none of this is real. I'm lying in a bed right now and my brain is generating all of this." You never question it, not once. The dream rendering is good enough to fool you every single time. Then you wake up, and for a brief moment, just a flash, you feel that strange dissolving sensation. The dream world that felt absolutely real just 2 seconds ago collapses, gone. The people you spoke to never existed. The rooms you walked through never built. The ground you stood on never solid. It was all generated, rendered, computed by your own consciousness, and you believed every moment of it. Now, what if waking life is the same process, just running at higher resolution? What if the only difference between the dream you had last night and the life you are living right now is fidelity? The dream renders at low resolution, inconsistent, shifting, full of gaps your mind papers over. Waking reality renders at maximum resolution, stable, persistent, detailed, down to the atomic level. But the mechanism is identical, consciousness generating the experience of a world, and a character inside that world who never thinks to ask, "Is this also a dream?" You laugh at yourself every morning for believing the dream was real, but you never, not once, apply that same laughter to the waking state, because the rendering is too good, the immersion is too complete, the character is too convinced. That is the divine genius of the design, not one layer of dreaming. 2. The night dream teaches you that consciousness can generate convincing realities from nothing. And then the waking dream makes you forget you ever learned that lesson. Every morning you receive the proof that reality can be fabricated by consciousness alone. And every morning you dismiss that proof, get out of bed, and walk straight back into the higher resolution version of the same process. The mystics, who saw through it, did not gain something ordinary people lack. They simply applied the logic of dreaming to the waking state, and the whole thing became transparent. But here is where it gets truly vertiginous. If this life is a rendering, if you are a consciousness node temporarily expressed through biological architecture, experiencing a computed reality that feels undeniably solid, then what happens when the body stops? This is the question that terrifies every human being who has ever lived. Death, the end, the lights going out, and the terror is real. From inside the rendering, death looks like annihilation. The character ceases, the story ends, permanent darkness. But think about what actually happens when a dream ends. You, the awareness that was having the dream, do not die. The dream character disappears, yes. The dream world dissolves, yes. But you wake up. The awareness that was dreaming simply shifts to a different mode of experience. The dream character was never the dreamer. It was a temporary costume the dreamer wore to have a particular experience. Now apply that to this life. You are not Marcus. You are not the body reading these words or the voice listening to this recording. You are the awareness currently wearing Marcus like a costume. The same awareness that wears a different costume every night in dreams and discards it every morning without grief, without funeral, without the slightest sense of loss. Death is not the credits rolling on your existence. Death is waking up from this particular dream. The character dissolves, the way every dream character dissolves when the alarm goes off. But the awareness was never born inside this rendering. It was here before the dream started. It will be here after. The terror of death is the dream character being afraid of mourning. It is the costume being afraid of being taken off. It is the wave being afraid of returning to the ocean, not realizing it was ocean the entire time and never stopped being ocean even while it was busy being wave. Every civilization has built its entire structure around managing this one fear. Religion promises an afterlife. Medicine fights to postpone it. Philosophy tries to make peace with it. Entire economies run on the anxiety of mortality, insurance, security, legacy, inheritance. Billions of humans spending their entire lives running from something that is not what they think it is. Not because death is not real, something does end. The rendering of this particular character, in this particular world with these particular limitations, that closes. The costume comes off, but the wearer of the costume, the awareness that chose this life the way a dreamer's mind chooses tonight's dream, that does not end. That cannot end, because it was never made of the material that ends. It is not biological. It is not physical. It is not rendered. It is the thing doing the rendering. You are not a body that somehow has consciousness. You are consciousness that is temporarily wearing a body. And when the body is done, when this particular rendering completes its arc, you do not cease. You simply stop pretending to be this particular character. And maybe, just maybe, for a brief moment between lives, between renderings, between costumes, you remember what you actually are. The way you remember for half a second every morning, in that gap between the dream dissolving and the waking world solidifying. That flash of pure awareness before identity reconstructs itself. The mystics call that flash eternity, because it is not a moment in time, it is what exists when time stops being rendered. So here you are. A consciousness node wearing a human costume inside a divine rendering so convincing that you have spent your entire life believing you are the costume. You dream every night and receive proof that awareness can fabricate entire realities, and you ignore that proof every morning. You fear death as if it were the end, when every night you experience a small rehearsal of exactly what death is and wake up unharmed. The Matrix was never a machine you needed to fight. It was never a prison you needed to escape. It is the most extraordinary artwork ever created, a rendering so perfect that God himself forgot he painted it. And the moment you see that, truly see it, not as philosophy, but as lived recognition, everything changes and nothing changes. The rendering continues. The body still aches. The groceries still need buying. The people you love still feel solid and warm and real. But you are no longer fooled. You are no longer the character. You are the awareness that chose to dream this particular dream. And for the first time, you are dreaming it with your eyes open. Before awakening, you had to convince yourself the world is not as real as it seems. After awakening, you have to pretend it is in order to live. That is not a tragedy. That is the sweetest spot in all of existence, the exact frequency where God can still surprise himself. The only place in the cosmos where the joke lands because the audience genuinely did not see the punchline coming. And you are here, right now, at the convergence point of a 13.8 billion year spiral, not by accident,